Hi, this is an interview with Miss Mithu Malik, the culinary visionary and co-founder of Musaafer. Located in Houston, Musaafer is a celebrated fine dining Indian restaurant known for its exquisite dishes, luxurious ambiance, and storytelling through food. Miss Malik, along with Mr. Shami Malik, co-founded the Spice Route Company, a globally recognized restaurant group dedicated to elevating Indian cuisine. Their dedication to bringing authentic Indian flavors to life has made Musafir a must-visit destination for food enthusiasts. You can find our article on our website, 6degrees.blog, and our Instagram page, 6 Degrees Away. Enjoy the interview.
So to start off our question, what does receiving a Michelin star mean to you and the Musaafer as a brand?
So obviously it's a very big honor. It's one of the highest, probably the highest accolade that you can get for in terms of recognition for this industry. So I would say one, it is an acknowledgement and a recognition of the work, all the hard work that each and every member of Musaafer puts in, whether it's the chefs, the back of house staff, the front of house staff, the server assistants, everybody. So it's really an acknowledgement of all the work that goes into the experience of Musaafer. And what was the second part of your question?
And what did it mean to you?
And
What did it mean to you and what did it mean to Musaafer as a brand?
okay. So that was Musaafer, and yes, for us, just like I said, each and every member of Musaafer, which include us. It's a wonderful feeling of appreciation. It is also a motivating factor for us to continue to do what we're doing and to try and strive to do even better.
Thank you. And what do you think sets Musaafer apart from other fine dining establishments, both in Houston and globally?
Okay. So I think what we have focused on always at Musaafer, and I won't use it has ended up being a fine dining. I won't use that term as being what was the driving factor behind Musaafer. Our idea when we opened Musaafer always was for it to be a special experience for every diner who comes in. So the idea was, which is why you see these elaborate interiors that we created. So we wanted that when a person steps into Musaafer, you don't feel like you're in that same city anymore. It's like stepping into India. We really wanted to give as true an Indian experience as we could to the diners coming in. So we put in a lot of thought and effort into designing this beautiful space. Everything was made in India and shipped here. We wanted to highlight and showcase various art forms and architecture. So we have all these, and it's very mindfully, thoughtfully put together. So every piece has a story behind it. So that, and then carrying that through to all aspects of your dining experience. So the menu, of course, because ultimately it's about the food and what you're eating. Other than that, the entire experience of how your server takes you through your journey. Musaafer means traveler, so for every person coming in, it's a journey. And how we take them through that journey is very important. So our servers are very well informed because we have a very extensive training program that we do with them. We have 3 weeks of training, intensive training when they join, and then there's weekly training on a continuous learning program that happens throughout the year to review everything. So they learn about Indian history from ancient Indian times when they were the Guptas, the Mauryas, the very famous Indian dynasties that ruled right up to modern day. What are the political parties? who's the prime minister. They learn about the agriculture, the topography, the weather patterns, the religions. So it's a very extensive knowledge of India. All the various invaders who came throughout the history of India. And then the end result is how all of these things, historically up until now, translate into the current sort of food scenario in India. Why is it that certain places? Because if you've been to India, you will see that visual Indian cuisine is very different from one place to another. So how all of that translates into food. So when you come here as a guest, your server is not only going to get you what's on your plate, but it's going to tell you the history behind that dish and how that So I think that our vision of just making it a unique experience, not stepping out and having dinner in a fancy restaurant. It's actually just going and having an experience for dinner. And I think that fortunately we were able to translate really well. With Musaafer Houston, we have the staff who kind of really listen up to the challenge. And I think that's probably what I would say is the most unique aspect of Musaafer.
So you actually already mentioned this, like since Musaafer is popular, how do you feel that is like in the restaurants, like the ambiance, the menu?
Okay, so Musaafer literally translated means traveler. And why we came up with the name was once we had visualized the concept. We wanted it to be regional cuisine because when you step out of India, restaurants in the West or anywhere else out of India, it's rare to find restaurants that cover the entire gamut of the cuisine. You will have restaurants that specialize in Northwest Frontier cuisine, or you have restaurants that do South Indian cuisine. There's so much of it. So we really wanted to highlight, showcase recipes and ingredients that actually even within India are hard to find. So our chefs went on a journey, and that was the starting point of translating Musaafer, the concept, into Musaafer, the restaurant. We have our wonderful statue here, which is signifies Musaafer, the traveling man. Our menu reflects Musaafer because it's regional cuisine and it covers food you would never even have heard of. Musaafer is also translated into the interiors because we highlight arts and architecture from different parts of India. So that comes together within this space. And then finally Musaafer is the staff. They are, as the take you through the journey. So I think that's kind of how Musaafer is translated into every aspect of our life.
Thank you. And how did the chef's journey across India help shape the menu? And how do you balance authenticity with the diverse expectations of Houston dining?
So, like I said, the basis was the journey. Once we decided we wanted to do a regional cuisine menu, we knew that we had to. Our core principle always has been that whatever we do with playing around with food, the recipes cannot be tweaked. The taste has to be absolutely completely authentic. So that was always our underlying principle. And once we had decided on that and on the regional cuisine menu, it was important to really get authentic recipes for different regions. And as an Indian who has grown up in India, and my father was in a transferable job, we moved around a lot in India. But even then, I don't think every Indian has experienced the entirety of the subcontinent. And so the chefs did a journey. It was a fabulous experiment. also accompanied them for part of the journey. And they would go out, cook with the local people there. So the home cooks, they were, we were pulling contacts from whoever knew whoever and trying and getting people to host them so that they would be, because that's the truest way to know authentic food is if you are cooking in the home of someone who lives in that particular region. So they were able to do that. We were also able to get specific ingredients which are only grown locally in those areas and are used for those particular recipes. So we fly them in, especially from India. We have a consolidated system together for us. So we get authentic spices from India. And so they would go out on the journey, then they would come back, and we would all regroup, we would discuss, what it was that they saw and they experienced. Then we would have food trials of how we wanted to, because our vision also was to elevate Indian cuisine and to make it kind of at par with the modern restaurants of any top cuisines that you find in the world. So we knew we wanted to do something fun with how we plate our food. And so they would come back and then we would have all these interesting trials. And that's how we recorded everything over the journey. And finally, when we made our menu, we had that kind of bank to fall back upon and kind of move forward from. And so what you see as the final menu is the result of all of that. We do have a lot of experimentation that we've done because we wanted to include modern technology and techniques that restaurants and chefs are using. So I'll give you an example of our chart, the Chena chart. So it's Chena dumplings, but if you look at that plate, you will be hard pressed to figure out what it actually is. It looks like a winter wonderland. So you have yogurt that has actually been shaped into the form of trees. So they're like little pine trees. And then you have the chena, and then you have everything else that goes. You have a little crisp that usually goes in chart or lump, which is dusted with beetroot dust. So a lot of components that are giving different forms. Instead of a chutney, it might come to you in the form of a dust or a gel. So we play how with the forms, but when you taste the chart, it's 100% different. So even if you're instead of putting the chutney, you're putting it in the form of a mousse, it will still taste 100% the way it's meant to taste. So that's how eventually all our travels and our thought process is translated into the menu, and the journey was definitely very, very critical component because that's how we got true authentic recipes from the entire region of the country.
So, what is one dish that you believe best captures the essence of Musaafer?
So I would say, because it's Musaafer, it's a traveler, it's a journey. I think you just have to travel through the entire way. There's no one thing that I would pick simply because it's a journey. So you have to go through the entire menu, and everything is so diverse and so different, each dish from the other, that I think they all truly encapsulate the spirit of Musaafer.
Thank you. And what were the biggest challenges you faced while opening Musaafer?
So, of course, shipping everything from India, getting it made in India, everything was custom designed for us. So it's not that you're just picking up something from the market. Everything was, specific to our dimensions and our design. So that anyway was going to be challenging. We knew from the beginning, getting everything here. Being in the mall, there were a lot of restrictions on how to bring things in. We couldn't bring them up, and it's on the first floor. There's only that much. The trains can't come too close because there's a parking ground weight of the huge cranes which would, pick up like the statue and come. So we've had times when the mall was very helpful, but we've had times when we've done moving in and shifting of materials into the site as an overnight exercise. So the mall would they would remove the glass doors at the back entrance, and we had our trucks that would come to West Alabama behind the mall, park there, and then offload, and then we would literally put things on trolleys and bring them in all through the mall and then offload them here inside. So that was, just putting it together was a challenge. And then I think something that none of us ever envisioned was the pandemic. We opened in 2020 when we were 15, 20 days away from opening when they declared the shutdown in Texas. And so that was, I think, one of the biggest, I think, anyway, in this industry, look at this industry for all of us was the biggest challenge to deal with. But for us to open a restaurant in a time like that was the biggest challenge. We had, we opened once the lockdown was lifted, we opened, and within 2 weeks we had our 60% of our management team that came down with COVID. And we were the first restaurant to publicly announce, because nobody knew at that point of time what is the outcome going to be and how bad is it. And so everybody was in such a state of panic, and we had just opened, and then you want people to come to you. So what do you do? How do you deal with it? But we really wanted to be honest and forthright with our diners. We wanted them to have faith in us. So we said, no, we cannot do. We could have said, oh, we'll shut down for some work, but we said, no, we have to be honest. So we declared in the press that we are shutting down. That time the law was 15 days. You had to be shut down completely. You had to fumigate. You had to, do all sorts of things. And then the staff had to test and retest and come back. And so that was very, very challenging. Just opening with 25% capacity was also very challenging. Not being able to really make an impactful opening was, I think, the most challenging part of getting this off.
Alright, so looking back on your journey, what has been the most rewarding moment for you?
I think after all the challenges that we faced, of course, finally being able to open Musaafer was a very rewarding experience. Putting our first team together was a very rewarding experience. Taking them to training and seeing how well they were dancing, how excited they were to learn about India and the culture of the cuisine was very exciting. Then seeing once we were open and once, COVID took a back seat, then seeing how people appreciated us, people accepted us, people loved us, and came back, and it was very gratifying when Indian people would tell us, our Indian clients would tell us that thank you for representing and showcasing India in such a beautiful manner in this city. So I think that was very, very rewarding to hear that. It was also very spent when we had a just to give an example, we had a client who was dining with us in the early days, and when she read the menu, I was at their table and asking them how their experience was going. She said, "Can I please meet the chef?" I said, "Yes, of course. Why is there a problem?" She said, "No, I have to tell you that she was from Maharashtra, from one little region in Maharashtra. She said, never in my life have I seen any menu in any Indian restaurant carry this particular dish. It's kind of like a soup in Maharashtra. Never have I seen this in any dish, in any menu. my little village in Maharashtra, I can find it on this menu of this fabulous restaurant. So those kind of moments were, very gratifying. And then of course, finally getting the mission. That I think was the cherry on the cake. It was very surreal, and it gave us a, people like to say it's a very cliche word that is very humbling, but it truly is to be appreciated.
Are there any plans to expand the Musaafer brand in the future?
Yes, there actually are. So we are opening in New York. We've been building it, and we're close to completion. So early 2025 is when we plan to do something. We we're constantly working on newer ideas. For now, this is the tangible one. We're also working on expanding within Texas, but with different kind of concepts. So we'll see how that goes. But definitely, yes, expansions are on the board.
Alright, and for your success, can you share a little bit about your personal journey and where you came from, what early experiences shaped you, and where you are today?
So, personal journey. So, I grew up in a family, and I think why I talk about this is because it has relevance to where I am right now. I grew up in a family that literally was obsessed with food. So, my father was a Canadian, so we traveled a lot all over India, which also helped because it widened our palates to different tastes and flavors. My father was very, very big cooker, I would like to say. And my mother was obsessed with cooking. So growing up, we had the most elaborate and fancy things you could think of. My mom would make a whole leg of lamb, dinner, biryanis, Scotch eggs for breakfast. So really had a lot of fun cooking really delicious food. We were in Hyderabad and my mother picked up Kutu, cuisine from there. She made a fabulous Hyderabadi biryani, whole fish curry. So a lot of, I guess, just eating and appreciating good food while growing up was important where we landed up. And my husband had an obsession with owning restaurants. I'm a pharmacist by profession, so I honestly didn't think that I would end up being a restaurateur. But life has other plans. So he was very, very, very keen on getting into this service industry. And when we got married, we actually started our business we grew up in India. We got married, we started our business in Nigeria. My husband was working there at that time. When we got engaged, he quit his job and decided that it was time to do something on his own. And so we started our businesses together. It was a lot of fun. We went into some food businesses, but our first foray into actually restaurant industry was in the early 2000s when we started with pizza franchise out of South Africa. And then we expanded that company had various concepts under their umbrella. So we had pizza, we had the fish and chips concept, and the coffee shop concept. So we opened those, and then we just happened to have a space where we had a pizza restaurant. It was huge. Obviously, it's a fast food, pizza chain. Though I'll still say that even within that category, it was a very big pizza. So we just had this space, half of the space of the common dining area and the kitchen, which we had not been able to we thought we'd do a burger thing, but it didn't materialize. So we thought, why not do an Indian restaurant? And my husband and I both, having grown up in India and appreciate Indian food. We also felt that in Lagos, Nigeria, there was not again, true representation of good Indian food was totally absent. And so that's where we started our first Indian restaurant, but it was along the lines of a food service in the sense that the food was like pretty authentic. You go to a really nice restaurant in India, like one of the top ones that we love and where we got our inspiration from was Khara and Delhi. The quality of our food was, pretty much like that, but because our ambience was very casual, we started getting feedback of people wanting to, people looking for a nicer ambience. And so then we decided we shut that down and we, on the top floor, we made a beautiful, big, fine dining restaurant. So that was the first sort of foundation to where we are, because we made that, we learned from that. It still is in Lagos, Nigeria, and it is still, one of the regional restaurants. And so that was eventually someone we know, friends of ours who moved to Houston and who were very fond of our cuisine in Lagos.